Okie dokie nerds, welcome back. Another vintage video here on the channel, which today we're playing some AggroVine. Mono green, aggressive deck where the disruption comes mainly in the form of artifact hate in Collectorus and Null Rods, and then Force of Vigors as well. So we've got our normal Bazaar package. We've got Bazaar of Baghdad, Serum Powders to go and find it, 8 Lizards, 4 Hollow Ones, 4 Vengevines. So the core of the non-Dredge Bazaar decks. Then we've got a bit of fast mana in the Lotuses and the Rubies and that sort of thing, the Emeralds, the Moxen, that's the word we're looking for. And then, yeah, fast aggressive clock using the Bazaar, and then the idea being we drop a few creatures, the next time we can play a Gaia's Cradle or a Yavimaya, and that will produce enough mana to make a Collectory for a Null Rod, really lock down your opponent, or get a Hex Drinker into play and start pumping up those counters and push it through for damage. We've also got some Once Upon a Times to smooth those draws, a Life from the Loam up here. So once you've got one of your 5 Null Rods in play, you can start strip blocking them with Wastelands and Loams and really lock them out of the game whilst you wait for your threats to appear. So that's the idea. Quite proactive, quick kills, and you're just kind of trying to make them stumble and disrupt just enough to push over the line, and usually they're quite close games with this deck. So post board though, I've got 4 Ravenous Traps and 2 Endurances for the Dredge and Doomsday matchups. We've also got Mindbreak Traps coming on the Doomsday matchup. I'm trying out, and I'm not sure about this one, I'm trying out 2 Guttural Response. Counter target blue instant for a green. That might be nonsense, but we're going to give it a go, just to try something a little bit different, a little bit new. And then 3 creature kill spells, a bonus Beseiju, and a Caracas 2. Caracas might not be needed, but we are so bad against Oath of Druids that we may as well have something in there. I think my last version of this had Grafdigger's Cage in the board, is how good the Oath matchup is. Right, that's the deck list. I do enjoy this deck. The matches are usually quite close, quite fun, and yeah, just enjoyable to play. So I think we want to play against the PO list. I'm not too sure. I like our mono white matchup usually. Lurus Control, as per, is really tough. And then some of the other combo decks, like the Jewel Shops deck and the Doomsday deck, they're usually just a little bit too fast for us. But we can see what we can do. You know, let's get down to the games, and I'll see you there. Okie dokie. Round 1, we're up against Fang Z. Not a name I recognise, but we've got a nice Bazaar on 7, triple Lizard into turn 2 something. So, but I'll have the Gaia's Cradle, so we'll definitely be attacking for like 5 if we want to. So we'll keep this, and we'll see what our opponent does. No revealed cards. So no Powders, no Chancellors, no Lurus. We hit the Bazaar, and I'm just going to discard the 3 Lizards. I don't think that's part of the problem, actually, with me as a player. But let's get these into play. So things that could go horribly wrong here in a main deck example would be if we're up against Prison Shops, and they just go Workshop, Mana Crypt, Golos, Tabernacle. Then all of a sudden I've lost all my mana, and all my creatures are dead. So that would be a problem, but so far we look like a squee deck. The secret's not been exposed or revealed. And let's see what the opponent's got. They've got a Bazaar of Baghdad. Okay, so pre-board, we're probably unfavoured against a Dredge deck. I think we'll be decent against a Squeevine deck, especially with this setup, because my Lizards are going to be bigger than their Lizards. And like my Lizards can trade with their vines, right? So that's quite exciting. I can just race their vines, I can vigor their hollow ones. It's probably a case where I want to see if I can get another creature in play and hardcast the vigor on a hollow one though. That's a Grief. Okay. I think Grief can resolve it. Oh, it's got to resolve. They don't. I'm not pitching my Loam, and they'll just take the vigor. 2 Icarids and a Grave Troll is like the nut high from the opponent. So I'm just sorting out the areas of the screen. They take the loam, which is very, very interesting to me. And then they play a hollow one. Okay. That all seems fine, right? So I'm just going to take a normal draw, I guess. Or do I just dredge first? I can just dredge first, right? I want to pick up this loam this turn. Serum Powder, Hex Drinker. That wasn't very good. So let's activate the Bazaar. We find Once Upon a Time, Hex Drinker. So I think loam can go. I think I'm going to discard Cradle and Bazaar. And I'm going to try and resolve this Hex Drinker. That gets through, and I'm just going to put counters on the Hex Drinker straight away. And I am going to Vigor their hollow one. They're going to make some Icarids. We're going to take quite a lot of damage this turn, but then I'm hoping that the ping back next turn will be good. We really needed a strip mine off of that dredge, I think. That would have slowed this down and made our life a lot easier. So they hit Narcomoeba Creeping Chill. Another Creeping Chill. Silver Smoke Wall, Prized Amalgam. This was like the best dredging ever. I never have stacks like this when I play dredge. Seems quite unfair. So 17, less again. They get a Narc into play. And I'm incentivized to not block this turn. So I want to get my Hex Drinker to the sky. Post board it gets a lot better when we've got Endurances and Ravenous Traps in. So I'd be going to 8 and then I'd be dead in 2 turns to the Narcomoeba. They hit every single chill, right? I know, just 3 of them. So there's still 1 chill left unaccounted for. So I'd be going to 5. That's not ideal. So let's Vigor the hollow one. That happens. Do I want to block an Icarid with anything? I mean, I don't think it matters actually, so I think I will. I can't pay red. I think I'll trump 1. And then, am I just going up with Hex Drinker, or am I casting Loam and trying to draw more cards? So I just don't have any Graveyard Hate pre-board, right? Oh, they've just got so many creatures. Yeah, I just think we're dead actually. Yeah, alright. That looks hard to come back from. That was the nutty side of things. So, upkeep, draw step. Do I want the loam to try and dig? What would I be digging for? Or I can make a 4/4, and then everything goes around my 4/4 because they've got triple Icarid. Yeah, I think it's just dead. I think I'm just going to pick up this loam. I find the strip mine, and now I can cast loam, pick up strip mine, Bazaar, Forest. This puts me back onto my Bazaar comfortably. What was that? Noxious Revival, sure. So now we can just activate. Triple Icarid is the big issue here. Strip mine, Force Vigor. Okay, let's go to the next game because I can't beat that. And we get 2 Endurances and 4 Ravenous Traps and a Boseiju. We don't need Chalice of the Void. We don't need any Collector Roofs. We don't need Null Rod. And I don't think we need forest. I think that's fine, isn't it? So I've got the Passager coming in over the forest, and this kills a lot of things. Well, it nukes their graveyard, and then we try and strip mine them and just get through with the little nerds. We do really need the Bazaar, like, superiority. This hand doesn't do anything right. 2 hollow ones, 2 pieces of power, a land and a powder. Yeah, I think we just powder that one away. This is 2 wasteland effects, but I can never develop a creature because I'm too busy wastelanding them, so I'm going to mulligan again. And now we've got a Bazaar, we've got 2 wastelands. I will keep this and bottom the powder. Say done. It's like any creature we hit means we've at least presented a clock. Okay, cool. I'll discard Vengevine. I think I'm just going to discard the lands that produce mana. I don't think there's anything that produces mana that I care about, right? Yeah, Vengevine, Cradle. Yeah, for Maya, I think that's fine. We're going to hold the Lizard, because the Lizard can both be pitch fodder for endurance, but it can also pick up the Vine in the future. Maybe this is a matchup that's so lopsided that I'm supposed to be going for Graveyard Hate and ignoring the Bazaars, but that's not what I've done, so we're going to live with our decisions. And we need the opponent to have, like, a low number of hollow ones. The closer to 0 we can be, the better. So Grief, it's just going to take my Lizard, that's fine. So they've got Golgari Thug, Silver Smoke Ghoul. And 4 cards in hand. And they do have a hollow one. The hollow one's annoying, but we'll take a draw. I'll activate the Bazaar. Also a very annoying setup, really, isn't it? I think I am interested in putting this Lizard into play. Is that true? Yeah, because otherwise I'm coming off of 2 wastelands, and I think I want the second wasteland. I think I want the Vigor to deal with this guy, so... Because they might have a Noxious into a activation here, right? So we want to hold the wasteland for the Noxious. Yeah, they've got it. So the Bazaar comes back, they activate it. They've only got a Thug to work with at the moment. And then they get a Shambling Shell. Sickening Shoals came in, that's interesting. And then they missed on everything by the looks of things. I'm just going to chomp with a red Lizard. I'm not too interested in taking lots of damage. They only have Thug Shambling Shell at the moment in terms of dredges. It's not actually what we were after. Let's just wasteland them again. And I think I'm just on chump blocks whilst they chill, and maybe I can draw into something good. So this is a turn where we really need to hit like a Ravenous Trap or an Endurance or something. And then we need to come up with an answer to this hollow one. None of this seems easy. Mental Misstep is too late. We're going to activate. And be sad. Yeah, so I think I lose here now because their graveyard is Icarid, 2 Amalgams, and I'm not coming back from a board of Icarid 2 Amalgams, right? I've successfully dealt with the Bazaars. I've won the Bazaar superiority sort of thing. but the rest of the game is just going to end next turn. So I think we can go to a new match and see how we do. Okie dokie, then round 2. We're on the draw against Sinister 85. We're going to keep our double Bizarre Wasteland hand. I think they play Duel, but I can't remember. Maybe a little bit of... Dare I say the words out? Maybe they play Bug, which would be... Oh, imagine playing Bug. They've mulliganed to 5, so I think it's more likely Duel. But we'll see. We'll see. I always get this sort of thing wrong. But I typically don't look people up in leagues, and then I do look people up in challenges. It's roughly the way I approach. So it is Dual Shops with the Mina Mana Mo and a Mana Vault. So Black Lotus somehow is the best card in our deck at this point. Or maybe even just an Emerald where I can just play the Waste and then oof. Because they are lined up for a turn 2 One Ring. Let's play a Once Upon a Time and see what we can come up with. We can come up with another Collector Oof. That's not very good. I really wanted a green source out of this exercise. I believe I just take Vengevine, right? Because then I get to keep the most cards in hand. Next question. Do I Wasteland the Minimo? Wasteland Minimo. If I don't play Wasteland, I need Yavimaya Cradle or Gaia's Cradle to get me onto the Oof next turn. I think I've got a Bizarre though. I think I've got to deal damage. They mulligan down low. Oh, the Vigor is busted. So Vengevine in to blow up your Mana Vault is exactly the life I want to lead. And then if they PO for 1, they PO for 1. You know, that's absolutely fine by me. But this will keep them off of a turn 2 Coveted Jewel, like Ancient Tomb Coveted Jewel, being the last 2 cards. Well, 2 of the last 3 cards. And then... oh, I get to attack as well. Oh, that card's really good. It's got haste. And then it's also going to keep them off of the One Ring and all, right? So unless it's Ancient Tomb One Ring. So Mana Vault's going to trigger. I've got no time for your triggers. Get rid of your Mana Vault. And if they PO for 1, they PO for 1. If they Force of Will, that's 2 cards out their hand. I think we're happy with everything. So they Force and they pitch a PO. Okay, so Force over PO for 1, which means they've got what, a One Ring in play in hand. Otherwise, you just pick it up. Tinker for Duel or Tinker for Duel with 1 card is scary, right? That is a scary play to make. Like, you might just go for the One Ring because it's going to give you more cards, yeah. And you can't risk me taking it. They don't get the trigger, remember. They do just rip the Academy, just from the top rope. I'm not sure what's better than in this position, whether it's trying to develop an Oof or whether it's wasting the Academy. I guess we do the Wasteland now. Next question. What do you Wasteland? Do you Wasteland the Minimo or do you Wasteland the... because Minimo with another blue source is 2 One Ring activations, right? They draw 2, they draw 3. That's 5 cards. I'm basically dead, but I'm also basically dead to the Academy. So I think I just hit the Academy. And then they are dead on board to my Yavimaya. They're dead on board for my creatures, actually, because of the One Ring. And we win versus Dual Shops. So I like the idea of Mind Break Trap. I like the idea of Boseiju. They could bring in Argentum Mastercores. They could bring in Worm Coil Engines. Do we want access to a Hull Breacher? Not a Hull Breacher, that's another card they could bring in. Do we want access to a couple of Dismembers? We can kill the Mastercore and the Hull Breacher. We can't kill the Worm Coil. The Worm Coil's got to be done through Boseijus and Vigors, and you've just got to grind it out over time. 5 cuts, though, is tough. The Hex Drinker can actually do a good job against the aforementioned worm coil engine. I don't think I want the onces. Obviously, the collector reefs are the best things we've got going. I like the life from the loam in all late game situations, I think. They're not coming after my mana in any way, so we're going to just drop the forest, add the Boseiju. And I think I'm just going to run the one dismember. Just the single. Keep the hex drinkers. They're really bad in a lot of the board states. But it's really good in a stalled board state against their primary sideboard plan. So it's like keeping in a bad card because it gets better against their post-board plan. This hand looks great. Look, it's got a collector reef, it's got a mind break trap, and it's got a way for us to filter through cards. It's got 2 collector reefs. Wow. And then, like as I just said, I'm keeping the hex drinkers to combat the good grief motorbike. I'm keeping the hex drinkers to combat the worm coils, but I'm not going to be attached to a hex drinker. Right, this hex drinker is absolutely getting discarded. I'll find another one. It's not a sweat. Opponent's on 6. We're on 7. Mox Sapphire. Urza's Saga. And go. Okay. Okay. So if I draw a Wasteland, I'll just smash their face. Oh, they've got an Ancestral Recall. So Lizard. We've got to play the Bazaar. Lizard, Vengevine. So we've got to beat a Urza Saga, or an Urza Saga. My apologies, Mum. How do we do that? First of all, by putting them to 16. That's step 1. Then it's going to be try and resolve a collector reef, I presume. And then we can try and Boseiju something a bit later on. Because this might get a needle, this Saga. I'm hoping this is a slow one, but if they like tap for Time Vault, then we're under a lot of pressure, aren't we? So, City. Vexing Bauble. Well, okay then. Grim Monolith. Into a 1-ring. Maybe. Oh, just make a token at sorcery speed. And a Grafdigger's Cage, which we didn't care about. Okay. They've got a 5/5. We get to untap and take some draw steps. They can't Force of Will my collector reef if I can get my collector reef on the stack. I just can't get my collector reef on the stack at the moment. So let's activate the Bazaar and hope for Gaia's Cradle, of which I only play 3 in this build. Problematic. Because they've got 3 cards. They're going to resolve Saga. Let's go Vengevine, Life from the Loam, Serum Powder. I think I just play 1 Boseiju and cast a Hex Drinker. I just make my board quite wide. And then I don't need to attack. I need to just somehow be alive and hope that they've not got a lot of card draw. So far they've just played a Vexing Bauble and Urza's Saga, which is difficult for us. They float 1, like a Manifold Key here to get the Grim going, or just to get an Organic Time Vault going would be rough. But that's the way it's been playing out, yeah. That's what it kind of looked like the whole game. Oh, alright. Mayday, relax. Oh, well, rip me. Okay, so we've returned and they've won. Yeah, that was it. That was the thing. They've won the game. So let's go to game 3, I believe. Maybe I need to have the forest in, just where I'm so reliant on casting mana spells and then just like ignore all hopes of removing creatures. I think that sounds fine. We've not been very good at drawing power, have we? I mean, I only play 3 pieces of it, so... What's this? What's this do? Nothing, right? It's just a vigor. I want better. Like this one. I want this hand. Cast Mox Emerald. Cross your fingers. Right. Play Strip Mine, cast. I guess Null Rod first? No, Collector Roof first, right? So I need the clock. So I can't actually cast anything else. Alright, cool. 7 cards for the opponent. I keep this. How many cards is this? I'm just going to bin the Rod, I think. Or do I bin the Oof and have diversity? I guess I bin the Oof and have diversity. I don't think I need 3. My opponent's not going to have triple Force of Will up, right? Mox Emerald, please. Strip Mine. And then lead... Collector Roof is what I said, wasn't it? Because I can't produce a second mana at the moment. So if this just sticks, then life's great. They have a Force of Will, pitching a Phyrexian Metamorph. Over to the opponent. Hopefully we get to bink like a Soul Ring, a Mana Vault, a Vexing Bauble, that sort of stuff. Ancestral, obviously the nuts. And then we hit them with the second Null Rod next turn. So basic Island, Pithing Needle, bing, bang, bong. Alright, mana producing land, Top Rope. Let's just cast a Null Rod. I'm going to play a Bazaar, but I'm not going to activate it. If they play a Needle, maybe I will flip it for Lizards. And they concede the match. Nice. Nice. I guess having no lands and no spells with text boxes will do that to you. So, next round. Okie dokie, next round on the play against P17. We've got nothing to do. So we're going to powder. There's a Once Upon a Time into Hex Drinker Collector Roof Wasteland. I actually don't hate this. Like, I just tuck the lizard. I'm actually going to keep it. I'm not too sure. I quite like it. I quite like the look. It might be a bit slow, but what are you going to do? I've kept it already. Oh, I don't have to tuck anything. Banger. So let's go Once Upon a Time first. Opponent's mulligan to 6 and has not revealed Allurus. I might just take basic Forest. What do I want? 2 threats. I'm just going to take basic Forest. And I'm going to play it and I'm going to cast a Hex Drinker. So let's see what Mr. 17 comes up with first. A Bazaar of their own. Okay, then I hate everything and we're dead. Is it Dredge again? Dredge on 7 again? Oh, Bridge for Blows and Cabal Therapies. Cute. I like where you're at. I wish I had a Bazaar of Baghdad. Waste you on a bridge list. And the bridge lists are the best lists. I don't know if that's factually true, but they're my favourite type, at least. Opponent falls to 18. Dredges slowly. Grief, Shambling Shell, Amalgam. They're just trying to find a creature at this point. My Kingdom for a fucking green lizard, mate. But this means I can make a 4/4, which is now bigger than anything they can produce, right? It's not as wide as anything they can produce, but it's bigger than it. So... in we go. They've got 1 Dredge left. And they miss again. They've got a Street Race, so they want a combo build. So the Street Wraith here is a big giveaway that they're going to be on like a Dread return list. It's not just like a few forces, it's all in combo dredgy stuff. So we're going to go again. We find a Force of Vigor. I think we just play Collector Roof. And then... is our opponent dead for dredges? No, they found another Shambling Shell, and then they're going to be onto looping cards. So they found an Icarid, and that's where everything changes, because they've got Icarid, Triple Bridge. I need a creature to die. Lotus, can't activate. My word. Am I ever using this Beseiju? No. So I need to go on the Hex Drinker. And I would need to play this next turn anyway. If I hadn't played that Collector Roof, it's so funny that the lizards are so strong. But hey ho. Opponent falls to 4. They might not even have Creeping Chills in their deck. They're going to get the Icarid in off of a Grief. Icarid's going to allow them to cast Cabal Therapy. Maybe on their self. They hit Narcomoeba and Grizzlebrand. So yeah, so they can Narc themselves. We could die here if they're holding a Dread return. Because they can Therapy themselves, get Triple Bridge token, Dread return a Grizzlebrand and go nuts. That's if they're holding Dread return. If they're not holding Dread return, then they die. Oh, they can't. They're on 4. Grizzlebrand's awful. Cabal Therapy targets me. Okay, fine. So we should win. So I'm just going to max out this Hex Drinker. I think I was going to win anyway when I figured out that life points matter with the Grizzlebrand. Okay, so Thievery round game 1. They named Colossal Dreadmaw, which I do not have in hand. And 2 Amalgams come into play. What does this need? This needs 8, so I just tap 2 lands and we win. I'll put the final counter on. And then we'll try not to click through combat. So in for 6, you're at 4. That's game. Cool. So really fast Dredge. They're going to come through therapies, so I don't think the Mind Break's good. I'm actually kind of interested in this Caracas, right? Chalice is bad, Norod's bad, Collector Roof is bad. Once Upon a Times can go. Maybe Life and the Loam can go, and we keep the once. I probably don't need this many lands, so I'm going to bring the once back, and I'm going to bring the Life and the Loam back for another land of some variety, I think. Maybe just a Lizard, actually. Yeah. And then I've got all my Once Upon a Times, because I want to find these Strip Mines, and I want to find these Endurances, so I think that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to keep this, because I've got the Trap, and I've got the Once Upon a Time to find my Bazaar with, and my Bazaar puts Vengevines into play. So they've got a Bazaar. And they have Grizzlebrand, Stinkweed, and Bridge from Below, so that's quite cool for them. But they have to do this through Stinkweed, through Ravenous Trap, which is difficult. We take a draw step to see what we come up with. We've got a Caracas, which is at least interesting. And we find a Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. So we'll lead on the Yavimaya because I can play a Hex Drinker from it. I think the Hex Drinker clock is like acceptable. It's not good, but I think it's acceptable if I'm being the controlling side of the battle. They dredge over the top. Thassa's Oracles. Shambling Shells. They've not been very good at putting creatures into play so far. They do get another Dredge 5 here, though. One bridge so far. They've got a Dread Return in the bin. Noxious Revival targets Strip Mine. Do I care? So you're going to completely come off of it all? For Strip Mine? I think that's fine. Because I can't tax their Bazaar of Baghdad, right? That's not something I can do. I can't Strip Mine them. That's a very interesting line to take. So I can load up on our guy. They can't bring anything into play without going deeper. So my trap's going to be on again in a moment. I get him for 2. They could have Sickening Shoal. But that would be at the cost of their bridge from below. Opponent falls to 16. And then they're going to do some dredging. There's an Icarid Therapy, some other stuff, some more stuff. None of those are Narcomoebas, so we're just going to pass again. You're going to dredge 5, 6. You've got a Grave Troll in there. And you miss again. They're not very good at putting creatures into play, my opponent here. They Strip Mine my Cradle. I've got another one. We pass to their end step. I need to actually see where their end step is, though, so I'm just going to adjust this slightly. I might just trap them now. 26 cards. What have you got in the bin? 1 bridge, 2 bridge. We know they're holding a Grave Troll. Can I actually beat them, though? I'm going to trap them because I can't actually beat just the Icarid coming into play next turn, I don't think. I don't think this is a particularly good use of a Ravenous Trap, but I think it's an acceptable use of a Ravenous Trap. They Noxious back another Bazaar. Okay, then. So we find another Hex Drinker, which I will play. And then I'll tap this one to make this guy a 4/4. Maybe I needed a bit more. The Once Upon a Time was a bit anemic. I think that was the thing, wasn't it? That's the problem with the card in itself. Is just you do come up with these points where the cards you need aren't in the top 5. Like I needed Wasteland or Bazaars, and they're just not there. Which is probably mathematically accurate, you know, but... Alright, so we need to go in response to this so that they don't get a bridge token off of their hollow one. And now they can do their dredging. They hit the 2 Narcomoebas here, they hit a Dread Return. We need them to miss on more, yeah, so they don't hit everything. And then, what? A Mox Emerald. What does Mox Emerald do? Puts 3 counters on that Hex Drinker, and I've got 2 4/4s. Or I can put 3 counters on the other one. 3 counters on the big guy. I think 3 counters on the big guy is good, right? Because that's going to put him to ultimate next turn. What happens if I just do 2 counters though? And I might get strip mined. Exile zone, please. We got their Thassa's Oracle, so they've got to kill me through combat, which is going to be tough. Do I want to give them this Hex Drinker? Probably. You don't have a bridge at the moment, so I think giving up the Hex Drinker is good because then they've got less things to use because this is their critical resource. They don't have an Icarid at the moment, so creatures in play is like the starting point for the rest of their deck activating. So blocking and trading is really tough. The chump block I think is good because you need to be there, right? But I think the block and trade is really tough when we get 2 points through. So that was nice. They are going to empty their deck, but their Thoracle is in exile. They get another Narc. They are going to go wide, but then I'm going to push with a 6/6 for them down to 2. And it's going to be close. The rest of their Narcomoebas come in. They've got 2 bridge from belows. They've got an Icarid. They can Dread return a Grizzlebrand. I can Caracas it. They can't activate, so I'll just die to my 6/6. Here come the bridges. What do the bridges target? I guess just Grave Troll, right? And they've gone full Grizzle. And you've got some tokens in play, but that doesn't seem great. So we draw. Bang on time, homie. Let's not cycle. Let's just put our counters on our creature. And then 6U, protection from everything. You fall to 2, and they die. That was a really interesting match against Combo Dredge. I feel like my opponent got a bit unlucky in just the order of their deck, you know. Just they didn't hit Narcomoebas or Icarids for a long time. For a long, long time. I think this, you could pick up the Grave Troll. That doesn't trample though, does it? So you'd need a kill spell for the Hex Drinker. The little Hex Drinker. But no, cool match. Okay, round 4. Alcatraz. No Lurus. Usually we're going to be a Tinker style list. At which point I like my my Chalice. I like my Vigor. I think I'm supposed to powder though, right? Like I'm not getting anywhere. This is interesting. No, I'm going to find a Bazaar, I think. I think I'm supposed to just find a Bazaar, but then this is really interesting in that it's got Once Upon a Time, but I'm going to go to 5. And I'm going to keep this Bazaar hand with no lizards. So we'll keep this and we'll send Powder Cradle away because I've got Bazaar into turn 2. Collector Reef if I need it. Which is quite tasty if you ask me. Oh, they've got a Mishra's Workshop. And a Soul Ring, okay. And a Mystic Forge. I'm not in love. Mox Pearl from the top is gross. And that's that. So we need good cards to roll off the top of our deck here. We're going to take a draw step, then we're going to fire our once. Bear in mind our Lotus is gone, right? Yeah. That's pretty gross. I'm going to fire this one off. I get a Bazaar. I don't need a Bazaar. I'm just going to take a hollow one. And activate the Bazaar of Baghdad. Well, the Vigor's insanely interesting, isn't it? So if I discard Powder, Hollow One, Boseiju, I can Vigor, Forge plus Soul Ring. You've got 4 mana. You tap it, you play a one ring, you draw a card, you make another land drop, I go land, collect a roof, and then the game's kind of a lock. But I have to discard my hollow one. I think I want to, though. I think I'm into it. I think it's your go, and I think we go and destroy some cards. Mystic Fortune Soul Ring is what I'm going to aim for. It does mean they get a double filter on their top card. No, they love their top card. They think it's the nuts. So let's kill these two. And then, if this doesn't resolve, then maybe we're dead, but... So they do exile in the end, PO, so it is a Jewel Shops list. I've got nothing else to do. You just go 4 mana, 1 ring, and then I lock it out. 1 ring comes in. They draw a card. Have an Ancient Tomb into a Time Vault. So 3 cards in hand for the opponent. Fingers crossed that's 0 Force of Wills. We'll hold the Ruby because obviously it's going to be good Bazaar outlet later. And that's cracked. So it's hard for them to get this off the battlefield, I think, other than Talon Gates. So we do want to go and find another one. Academy is a great way to get out of it, though, because that's going to overload their mana. Let's see what they come with here. Khan can go and find like something out of the board that maybe kills it, but I don't know what that would be. Oh, a Masticore, of course, yeah. I've done a Masticore. Oh, Sinking Stupor, yeah, another banger. And now you draw all the cards and maybe I die. They've got, yeah, infinite mana here. Academy Sync was really good for the opponent. I wonder what the Jewel Shop Resurgence is about. Because it hasn't been the most diverse league in the world, has it? Oh, and this is a forest, look. This is dope. We've enabled the kill. We've enabled the kill. Yeah, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Great game. That was fun, actually. I like that. Workshop activates my key is phenomenal stuff. So, the Mind Break traps are dope. The Boseiju is cool. Did I want a Caracas? Not really. What did I do last time? Someone help. What did I do last time? I liked some of the Hex Drinkers. I think it was like a lizard. A forest. And a once, maybe? Okay, this time, what have we got? Turn 1 Bazaar, turn 2 Collect Roof. We're gaming. Do we lead Hex Drinker? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm more... I think I like Hex Drinker as a green card, and I like Hex Drinker as something later. I'd rather dig for Vigors sort of thing, and more Collect Roofs and Null Rods to run out. So let's go with the Bazaar. Opponent's going to be locked and loaded with Dismembers, though, this time. So, Lizard, Powder, Lizard. So we've got some clock going, not the best. But I imagine they're going to be Dismembers and Worm Coils all the way down this time. Their turn 1. Let's see how aggressive it is. This is one of the downsides of our deck, is our lock pieces don't really come out until turn... I'm going to let that go. Until turn 2. So Soul Ring. I'm going to snap off this Vigor end step, I believe, because I want that to eat the Force. Manifold Key, okay. I think I'll go now, actually, and I think I'll go after these two. That worked. An opponent has a cage, and that's fine. The cage is fine. I've got creatures to cast. Another Collector Roof. Incredible draw. In we go. Bang, bang. None of your cards work. And if we get through this turn, like the worst thing here is like Talongate's Lotus Time Vault. But if this works, then I get to resolve the next one, and then that should be the whole game, I think. That one's in. I'll play this Bazaar, but I won't activate it because I want selection next turn, and then we're going to turn this corner quite quickly, but we do need to kill them before they get to 6 mana 3 lands. So our Lizard should help with that next turn. We're hopefully activating into a Soul Ring. Not a Soul Ring, a Hollow one, sorry. So 1 ring. They've got protection this turn, so that's not great for me. I really like that Wasteland. So I'll keep the Waste. And we will destroy your workshop. And then it's your go. I can't damage them because of the 1 ring protection. But I feel like they're kind of locked, pretty constrained at the moment. 3 cards in hand. A difficult avenue to the requisite mana to win with. They're having to play out the springs and stuff. They're having to play this out, which is less answers to my Collectorus, right? That's a Grim Monolith. So it's back to me. I'm just going to pick up cards. And we get in. This is an interesting matchup because I don't think you can have close games, right? I think it's like this where you're completely locked out, or I'm just dead and I didn't get to do anything. I think that's just the way that this game's going to go. I think very rarely going to be like trading card for card. Right, back to sideboarding. Do we want anything different on the draw? No. Cool. Good chat. Okay. We'll keep this. I get to play 3 creatures on turn 1. If the Lotus gets through. If not, then we're in trouble. But I'd like to draw another Collectorus, to be honest with you, so I can play 2 Collectorus on turn 1. Okay, Ancient Tomb, Pearl, Defense Grid. Sapphire. Emerald. Oh, I'm not in love with this. Graph-Digger's Cage. Fine. 1 card left over, and it's a walk. Okay, but they've got 0 cards in hand. So this is just a pure rip, and they miss. And we go, and they can't Force of Will me. How do I play? I'm just going to play all my cards. Yeah, I'm just going to play all my cards. So, 1, 2, 3, bang. Collectory first of all. Hex Drinker. Counters or lizards? I guess it's lizards. It's fine. Oh no, let's just do counters. Is counters good? I don't know. I get 1 for free, that's for sure. I think I get to play this. Okay, so opponent played a tap land and passed, and we should just be able to convert from here relatively comfortably. I'm going to play my Boseiju, and I'm going to start putting counters on, so I don't think I'm under threat from too much at this stage. Oh dear, they found the Talon Gates. And I don't have a Besage up because I played it. And they have a PO for 1 billion. I mean, I did do this to myself. There was a line there where I just play my Wasteland, waste them and chill. But I went with counters and damage. Yeah, this was somewhat self-inflicted, right? The cage comes back down. How many cards did they draw? Like 5? They've got a grid that we don't know, that we know they've got, so they drew 4. Second cage is not a disaster for us, but I don't like the 4 mana floating, and that's a PO for 6. Bear in mind they have made a land drop, but they are floating 4 pieces of jewelry around. So it's only like a Grim Monolith gets them onto a Coveted Jewel or a Wormcoil Engine. Or a Mana Vault, sure, yeah. Okay, the Mana Vault gets tapped. Cages return a nice Monolith. Oh no, maybe it still does. The One Ring comes in. They draw a card. So the rest of this game is just us hoping to draw cards that impact the board, like more Null Rods. Or a Vigor or something like that. But they're going to have the grid in play, aren't they? So I'm never going to get the grid off. Okay. They didn't put the grid in play. Everything turns off again. With everything off, I guess I'm supposed to just play Wasteland. Wasteland your blue source. Or Wasteland your Ancient Tomb. Or go to the sky. I guess Wasteland your... No, they've drawn 7 cards. They've drawn 1 billion cards. Wasteland doesn't do anything, right? I think we can make that assumption. And then we can just pump the lizard. Or the snake, sorry. Because then pumping the snake means I'm on 8 counters next turn. You take 2 in your upkeep from both Mana Vault and One Ring. So if you play a Wormcoil Engine this turn, I can go maximum and go through it. Okay, so they sink, which means we're in a lot of trouble. I could have wastelanded a blue source, but then they would have always had the Talon gates available, right? And now in they go for the One Ring. And this, they've really got to make this one stick. So they've been through 2 POs already. They complete the jewelry set with the ruby coming down. Looks like we've got a Metamorph on the way in, which is going to be a One Ring. And now their Ancient Tomb is free to tap until the end step. They've got a Needle, which they'll probably name Hexdrinker with, I guess. Unless they're scared of me going after their lands. No, they're scared of me going after their lands, so they name the Waste. And they've got a grid. They can't activate, so they can't Force of Will me. So they've just got another sink or something. But they're scared of me hitting their blue sources. Triple Vine is not the dream. Let's do... I mean, I've got to do the Collector, right? That's just non-negotiable. That resolves because of the grid. This guy goes to maximum, which means I can beat the Wormcoil Engines now. And no reason to attack. There's nothing in play. Opponent takes 2. Goes to 3. Ancient Tomb's a struggle at this point. But you've got to hope that they lined up a way to kill this Collector Roof. I feel like I could have played differently earlier, but I also don't know if it would have mattered greatly. I'm not sure. So what was that? That was into the Floodmoor, and off we go to the races again. Lotus means we're just missing Ancestral from the 8 pieces that they play. And what have we got here? A big PO by the looks of things. PO is going to be for their whole deck. They've played Saga on the turn. And it's interesting because I'm kind of confident without infinite turns, but they're going to get there. Without I can't talk. Without Time Vault Key, I'm kind of confident. I think that's the only thing that beats us here, because I've got the 6/6 Pro everything. Maybe Dual Shops needs an upheaval to beat Hex Drinker. Maybe that's the new meta. But there was a line that maybe we played poorly, and then after that our opponent's been able to draw cards and come up with a plan to answer a Collector Roof every single turn, which is great, which is exactly what they needed to do. There's only 17 cards left in their deck, so access to Vault Key should be easy at this point. I've only drawn Vengevines the whole game, so I can't interact in any way. We've seen all their power. That was the Ancestral going through there. And we haven't seen a key or a Time Vault, have we? So there is still some element of play. It's always the thing of, are they the bottom 2 cards in the deck? Usually people will have Wormcoils in against us. There's a Manifold Key. Have you found the Vault? The Wandering still works though, right? Well, it doesn't, because the Wandering works if you have another way to deal with a Collector Roof. We've only been through 2 sinks so far, so that could be Academic as well. Well, they put a counter on though. Counter on's pretty tough, unless you've got the Tinker rolled up. Oh, opponent's going deep. 2 more cards. So they are dead in upkeep now, right? Well, they have to pay for the Mana Vault to stay alive. They can tap their Ancient Tomb this week. Now. They can tap their Ancient Tomb now, because they've got protection from the ring, so they can't damage them. That's 4 mana for a Grim. They do need to redeploy the Needle at some point as well. So there's the Needle. The Needle, yes, they needed to redeploy the Needle because otherwise the Wasteland can tax the Saga, and that's probably their kill condition. Life total matters. Vexing Bauble does not. Vexing Bauble gets cycled. I mean, my opponent's got 23 cards in hand. I'm expecting to be very, very dead, but there's enough things going on that I think it's close, right? The Wandering is going to hurt them. The Collector Roof is going to come back and body them. The payment of life points to Force of Will, the payment of life points to the Wandering. Did you even find your Time Vault? Do you even have your Wormcoils? Right, there are 10 cards left with no Wormcoil engine sighted yet today. So this is 6 mana. There's a Wormcoil. Okay, we found a Wormcoil, but we haven't found Vault Key. Is that how this works? You're going to take 2 in your upkeep, so you can't Force of Will me. So my Collector Roof is in play. Then your Wormcoil engine can't get through. Right? And then your... My Hex Drinker can't come through, your Wormcoil can't come through because I've got Pro everything. So there's no life to be gained. So you need another One Ring or another PO. And then the Urza Saga pops. I don't think I'm going to win, but it's not an easy point in the game for our opponent. They did need all the Wasteland, so Strip Mine probably our best draw because that's going to deal with the Saga. Maybe a Vigor too, actually, but they cannot... Force of Will us here. So that's cool. So this is my Collector Roof. I'm expecting it to resolve. I can't do anything else. I'm not going to attack this turn. Opponent goes to 1 and their Ancient Tomb is dead. Multiple Floodmoors. Sad state of affairs for the home team. I've got no plays to make other than pump a Lizard, so we'll ignore that. Saga ticks up, opponents at 1. We need to answer the One Ring. We need to not tap our Ancient Tomb. Your Wormcoil doesn't get through me. So they've got infinite turns. I agree with the infinite turns. I'm going to make you take an upkeep though because of the One Ring in play and because of my infinite blocks on Wormcoil Engine. Unless of course you just play another One Ring and get rid of it. There we go. There we go. GG's. That was a cool game. We were heavily disadvantaged all the way through, but they've dealt with everything that hurts them. Because now they don't tap the One Ring. They make 2 Saga tokens. So I enjoyed that match. Yeah, so they'll make 2. They've got the One Ring. They'll make 2 Saga tokens, right? With their infinite turns off of Time Vault Key. You never tap the Ancient Tomb. You never tap the One Ring. You never tap the Mana Vault. I can't do any damage. Wormcoil and Hex Drink will bounce off each other. These Saga tokens will get around me. If there's another key in the deck somewhere, you can also just unblockable the Wormcoil. So cool stuff. Okie dokie nerds, welcome back. Final round of our league today, and we're up against Matthias Hardstyle, who I played in the challenge on Thursday, and they were on a deck. They were on mono white, that was it. They were on mono white, so that's cool. I don't hate the matchup. I also don't love the matchup. We've lost to Dyro, and I think that's a big problem. If they lead on Peacekeeper, my Bazaar doesn't work. If they lead on Archon of Emeria, my Bazaar comes in taps and then they waste it. So that can make the mono-white matchup really difficult. And then if there's something like a Chancellor in there as well, I can turn off my turn 1 Collector Roofs quite effectively. So there's a lot of difficult things going on. One of the difficulties is I don't have a Bazaar of Baghdad. So let's ship that away. What does this do? This is a turn 1 Collector Roof, Wasteland, and Once Upon a Time. And I can Once Upon a Time for a Bazaar. I think I like this. I do have to pitch one, so I guess I pitch the Waste. This might be a bit bad, but I am on the draw, so that's the bit I'm intrigued about. So Matthias has a Mana Crypt and an Ancient Tomb and a One Ring. Okay, so they're not on what we said. Mono white. They're on Jewel Shops or Raker Shops. At which point, our Collector Roof here is kind of cracked, right? So I do regret the Wasteland going, but I think the Once Upon a Time to find... Don't worry about it. I don't need the Wastelands. So I do find the Bazaar of Baghdad. That's quite cool. I'm going to cast a Mox Ruby. And I'm just going to lead on Yavimaya Cradle. I don't see the need to fuck around and give them more cards. They've got a Force of Will. Very good. Force of Will pitching, I imagine, a blue card. Phyrexian Metamorph. Okay, so that's not great for the home team. But we can play Bazaar, activate Bazaar, find another Collector Oof, trigger Vengevine off the Oof, you know? But that requires us having another turn. So it's been a wild league, isn't it? A lot of restricted cards over there, but a lot of dual shops. I think we've split the matches so far, and we appear to be going down a game here as well. Opponent does not like having life points, so that's good for us. They PO'd for 1 billion, which means their One Ring's going to be back in play. That's going to get them another card. Mana Vault as well. It's turn 2. They've made a land drop, so they have to go through the Lotus to get back into another PO. Or they have to find a jewel. Or they can just have Natty Vault Key. It's going to be Tinker away the Mana Crypt. Tinkers away the Mana Crypt, and I'm not going to make them play out. I untap my Mana Vault. That's we've all got lives, and I've played enough against dual shops today. So GG, and let's go to game 2. I like this, and I like this. And it's been a couple of hours since I last played, and I already know I've forgotten what I was doing. Does Misstep do anything? I mean, it binks on their fast mana, right? So I think I'm happy with it. Is it a Once Upon a Time I've been trimming? A Red Lizard. And maybe just a Hex Drinker or a Once Upon a Time can go. Sorry for the inconsistency in sideboarding, or what I think is inconsistency in the sideboarding. I've not played for a while. I've not played this deck for a while. Yeah. So what's this then? This is turn 1 Null Rod into Null Rod, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it, and then hope to discard to hand size later, or something, or top deck more threats. But we'll lead Rod, and then we'll play the Oof second, because the Rod will eat the Force, and then I'll at least have a clock. Opponent is going to have a number of Wormcoil Engines, but this is just so much. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? This is just so much pressure that we apply initially. So that just gets in, and then we play this, and we just play the other one, and then it's your go. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to have Dismember actually, because they can play Argentum Masticore, and I just didn't think of that in sideboarding. So they lead on Dismember on Collector Roof. I need to top deck like Bazaar or something. Wasteland. I'll play it. I've not got anything to do with it, but I'll put it in play. So if I draw a Bazaar, or if I draw another land next turn, like I think building up to this Vengevine is worth the hassle. I like casting a Lizard just to get things moving though. Like I want pressure in play. Opponent has a Voltaic Key. Continues to have no land drops. Beseiju who endures. I much prefer as a pump effect. Right now I don't think I care about what Matthias is serving up. And then if we get another land, then we get to develop the Vine. That's an Ancient Tomb. And this is a Phyrexian Metamorph. Okay. And what does a Metamorph do? It becomes a Lizard. So they're just trying to fog me a little bit. Hit the Hex Drinker. So let's consider our options. I guess I just attack and trade off with the Metamorph. Because they might not block anyway. Yeah, they don't block. We waste Ancient Tomb. And then we cast Hex Drinker and put a counter on it. And then next turn it's a 4/4. And they have to dismember it this turn and take 4 points. They have an Emerald, which they can't use. No activations here. Do I dig for a Cradle or do I just... No. I can dig for a Cradle later or a Bazaar. I think this is better. I think it's just... There's that thing of like guaranteed damage and attacking with the Lizard, because if they trade with it, then as we can see, they're going to die next turn. They can't dismember my dude. And that should do the job, I think. Yeah, so a nice double Null Rod for the kids. And I'm going to bring in a couple of Dismembers. I don't think I did that earlier, and I think that's really, really loose. I'll come off for once, and I'll come off... Do I want to come off the Loam? I really like the Strip Mines against them, that's the thing. I'll keep, like, this really questionable package alongside there. But it is likely that we are behind just in this now, because we're on the draw. I'm going to powder this because it doesn't do anything. And this is it, right? This is part of the issue of this deck. Is turn 1, I cannot develop this Collector Reef. I have to wait till turn 2. At which point, there's a good chance I'm already dead. So Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith. Bazaar or Wasteland? I think I Bazaar. So we find the Lotus or something, then it's great. So do I deploy a Lizard? Lizard. Let's see. Powder Vengevine is very easy. It's just where do I put this Lizard is the next question. Or can I just discard a Cradle? I'm going to discard a Cradle. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to hold this because this is 2 creatures, right? So if I can get to a piece of jewelry next turn, this is 6 mana. So this could just be a Worm Coil Engine. So 1 ring, okay. Opponent's got a mana floating and blue available. That's their whole turn though. So over to us. We can activate fishing for lizards and hollow ones. We hit the Lotus though, so let's go Lizard, Wasteland, Yavimaya, I do believe. Cast this one. Play a Lotus. Crack it for green and develop the Collector Roof. We get the Vengevine back into play. And the Oof doesn't resolve. And we've slow rolled our land drop though, so we can waste them off of that Ancient Tomb there. And smash. Smashing might be wrong though, but they've only got 1 mana. They are going to draw 3 cards this turn. And we are definitely behind. But we've got a Boseiju. We've got a Mindbreak Trap. The Cradle's going to do good work in a moment. So the clock is ticking for our opponent. It's just how good is what they've drawn. They found a Workshop, which is horrendous for the home team. They find a Metamorph. And the Metamorph is another 1 ring. Okay. And they draw a card. And it's back to us. So I would like Wastelands. I'm going to activate my Bazaar. I'm going to discard Mox Emerald, Once Upon a Time, and Mindbreak Trap, I think. Because I want to play Gaia's Cradle, and Boseiju this workshop. Maybe I should have discarded Loam actually, because I'm not casting the Loam this turn, am I? Over to our friend on the other side of the table. They're back up to 7 cards, which I'm not in love with. That's a Mina Mana Mo. That's going to draw a bunch of cards off the One Ring. No, it's not. Not yet. Okay, so we get in for a nice cheeky 5 here. I'm going to loan back Boseiju, Wasteland, Wasteland. And this gives me a really tasty Bazaar activation. That's one thing that Loam does really nicely, is it gets you onto your Bazaars quite handily. Opponent counters, pitching Sink. I'm going to play my Bazaar. I'm going to dredge a Loam first of all. And then, I hit a Lizard, that's a shame. I was hoping just to draw some cards, you know, or like flip some vines. And now I'll just cancel both, because the aim is to put Lizards into play, and I don't. So we get in for 5. Opponent falls to 7. They've got 4 cards in hand, but they're drawing 4 cards this turn. Minimo up, so they're up to 7. Oh, they're just going to have so many cards. They're at 4. So this is it. Dead or alive, and it's on our opponent. Mishra's Workshop. So I expect them to have more permission. Although we've already been through 2 Force of Wills, so maybe not. Maybe that's quite low odds. That's another One Ring. Can I dredge Loam? I have to, right? I just have to get that Wasteland and kill that Workshop. I can't do any damage to them. I guess it's pick up Loam, cast Loam, get Wasteland, Boseiju, Yavimaya, and then activate. Because activating can still find Collector Roof or Norrod. We cast this, we target Boseiju, Wasteland, Yavimaya. They did not find their next Force of Will, which is fantastic news. We activate the Bazaar looking for Collector Roofs, I guess. Strip Mine, Vengevine. Okay, so we discard the Yavimaya Cradle and Wasteland. Yeah. And then we strip mine your Workshop. And then they have the One Ring protection, so there's no point in us attacking. And then it's up to Matthias now whether he's activating this One Ring. He activates it once. So he goes to 3. And then he activates it again. 11 cards in hand on the other side of the table. And I've got no rods in play, so complete free reign. They know our hand. And it's just, can you convert on this life total? Then playing the Mana Crypt means they found a PO. So this is going to be a PO for 5 into another One Ring. I think at this point it's kind of done. Giving me the jewel, maybe? No, because I'll just pick it back up, won't they? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just game, right? It's going to be a huge PO. It's going to copy a coveted jewel. And I think that's the needle being threaded there. I'm not sure if there's anything we could have done differently on the way through. There was that Mindbreak trap activation that I don't like. Opponent plays a Time Vault. I assume they've got a key. They've seen half their deck. And they PO all of it. And then they should just lead on key. No, they lead on jet. Not a lot going on. Not a lot to talk about. Just making sure they have it, you know? I think we did what we could. Yeah, there's just that one point I missed on the keeping loam for some reason when I'm not casting it and coming off Mindbreak Trap. Cool, we lose. Good games. But that was an AggroVine League. It's a bit of a difficult deck to play with at the moment. I don't think it's technically challenging. Like, it's one of those ones where you do need to know what your opponents are up to. But the issue is, like, that matchup spread we just got, right, was, what, 2 Dredge and 3 Jewel? That's not nice. Because the Jewel Shops player can kill us before the Oof comes down. Which is less true for a lot of the Lurus PO lists. They're not quite so balls deep in combo. And then Dredge is winnable, but it's tough, you know? We're slightly lighter than a lot of other decks in sideboard hate. I've just got some endurances somewhere in here. We never did bring in those guttural responses, which I think is fine. That was more for trying and memeing, I think. But yeah, no, the deck's very fun to play though. So if you want to pick up a deck and run it through a vintage league, I'd strongly recommend this one because the game plans aren't massively deep. You get good thinking equity off of your bazaar because you don't have a lot of discard equity in this deck, only 12 cards, so you get lots of thinking time there. But it's good fun. 2-3 I'm not too disappointed with actually against Jewel and Dredge. I think that's kind of where you expect to be with that matchup spread. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see yous again.